Hey everyone, welcome to Hobby Night in Canada. Elfire Hobbies is a little podcast thingy. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I want to do with this little podcast thingy, the kind of the reboot of Hobby Night in Canada. And also, we're going to talk about one of my favorite little subject, which is art for the non-artistic.
Because it looks like a legal goal.
All right, so first let's talk about the reboot, or yeah, I think that's what they call the relaunch or the expanded Hellfire universe, if you will, uh, which has really nothing to do with. Am I gonna get sued by Marvel for anyway? So I'll be not in Canada. As a podcast I started 2 years ago. I think it was one series, 5 or 6 episodes, and it was basically me and a guest having a little chat. And the format itself was like really not my vibe altogether. It was like long to edit. It was hard to you had to get guests, you had to schedule thing, and then the video portion. It was a lot of work for very little upside. Besides my own little fun, I'm interested in talking about a bunch of stuff, but they don't really make good quality like videos per se on YouTube. Like I would like the channel to be mostly like tutorials and product reviews, or that kind of jam. And so just me talking about a subject is really not something that I truly want to have, like the classic YouTube video with the dumb face or whatever thumbnail. I'm not really about that life. So instead I figured the thing I really want to talk about, I'm really kind of passionate about, I'll just go through like the old podcast. I'm a middle-aged white guy, they start podcasts. That's what we do. This is my cultural heritage. I need to I need to own up to it. So that's what essentially is going to be. So I'm just going to pick a topic every other week. I think it's going to be an every other week type of show, and just talk about that. And then we're going to have a couple of like fun little, couple little fun segments here and there. So let's get started. And this I think is going to be a shorter episode. Maybe I don't know. I don't have like a fixed length. This is really, we're gonna, like a lot of things in the miniature painting, I think we're gonna wing it a little bit for a while here, right? All right, so the first little like segment I wanted to do and I thought would be interesting is the tool of the week. And I'm not talking about me here, of course, don't be mean. Again, every now and then I stumble upon a fun product that I want to talk about. Maybe it doesn't like deserve a whole video, or maybe it complements a video, which is the case for this week's tool of the week. And so yeah, in a recent video I was talking about the technical paint or the texture paint from the Citadel range, right? The little texture thingy, you put this on your base and it's got like this weird, this one is crackling paint, but there's somewhat like sand that are like kind of a toothpastey type thing, and there's the snow one. So all these products, they are really great. And that's one comment that kind of came up in the video. Oh well, the Games Workshop ones are trash. Well, no. And that's kind of a default thing because they're not bad. Like the content of this is not really bad. So that's one thing I kind of didn't talk about this fully in the video. I wanted to explain. So the content of this and many of the others, not bad by itself. They're great. Like the snow one is still one of my personal favorites. And I've bought one of the different like brand, and it's not, honestly, it's not as good as Valhalla Snow, whatever. The snow one from the product itself is really good. The main issue is the price and the size, right? So like I got this, well, you can see the price here. This one I bought from a store here. But this is the Pro Acryl one, and this is 120 millimeter of black goodness, coarse gray. And this here is like, this is 24, sorry, this one here, 24 milliliters of this Agrland, this Modern Earth, sorry. So you compare. So this is like 5 times as more for like less than a third of the price. Like these things in Canadian money, $9. This one, $21. So the main issue with the Games Workshop thingy is not like the content, it's like the price or the quantity, because the stuff is good. So if like me, you're doing like armies and stuff, this is probably, maybe if you play like Kill Team or Warcry or something, this will work. It's fine. Because sometimes you say, oh well, it's very expensive, but like realistically, this is like a whole lot. Like if you don't have like a whole army, this is like a lifetime supply maybe. So really, if you if you do big boy size project like larger armies and stuff, well, yeah, I think every other brand is like this one here, Pro Acryl, is the one I used for the Tyranids I bought from my buddy Max. I've been repainting those. But as I said, I got the AK ones, and there's also Vallejo makes like very similar. So look for that. But that's little tool of the week here. Get yourself some Gray Earth course, and yeah, get your Tyranids on. And just before we get on to it, just a couple more things. So first of all, this is going to be mainly, I guess, like a YouTube thing because I do want images, even though a good chunk of this is going to be me talking. I do want to reference a couple of products or a couple of pictures as well, especially things that I like to do for video that I did not really have like a good format. Like when I go to tournaments and there's like armies to look at and like take pictures and talk about these armies or painting competition. So that's one thing where having like kind of a more of a video podcast is interesting. That being said, all the episodes are all going to be put in podcast form. Maybe if you're like from the future and you see this, it might take me a little while to get it figured out. It's a little bit complex to put podcasts out. It's not like instant as YouTube. So I need to like set up all these things, but it will definitely happen. So it'll be available in all like in your favorite podcast apps, I guess, or wherever you get your podcast from, but also on here on YouTube, which brings us basically to like monetization. There won't be any. I don't do sponsors. I don't do Patreons or like whatever. So it ain't about like selling you anything or asking you for money. However, if you want to support this show, you can subscribe to the channel or subscribe to the podcast and leave a positive review on the platforms. This helps greatly. And again, I have absolutely no plan on like monetizing any of this or getting like sponsors or whatever. That being said, I might put affiliate links on some of the stuff, but like this is a game store thing, so just get it from your game store. But yeah, so that was a little bit of housekeeping. Now let's get into the core thing of this episode 1 here, which is art for the non-artistic. And this is one of my favorite topics because it's something that I think a lot of people can relate to, and also a topic that a lot of people realize that, oh, it is possible, which is it's possible to paint miniatures and not be artistic at all. In fact, I think a lot of people that are really good at miniature painting are absolutely not artistic in like their everyday life. I know for a fact I'm not a really artistic type of person. Art does not really come to me in any other form other than painting miniatures and writing. Like my creativity or something does not kick in unless I have like very clear directives of, hey, this is a miniature and it needs to be painted. Now it kind of works. Or writing stuff. Like if you put me, I've said this example, like if you put me in front of a sheet of paper and you say draw me a sheep or whatever, art is not going to happen. It just does not. I'm not a very artistic person, except when it comes to miniature painting, because I think it taps into a whole other like part of the brain and more like problem solving. Like I see a miniature as like problem solving thing, whereas this needs to be, the light needs to be somewhere or the highlight needs to be somewhere, and you have to kind of figure that out as you go. I think that's how I process this, or the logic behind it, if there's any logic to be had. I don't know if it's like a psychology thing or whatever. Like a lot of miniature painters that I know are not really artistic, and a lot of people that I know that don't like think about art or anything, they kind of enjoy painting miniatures because again it's a whole different thing. And so for some people it may come to you as like a bunch of different ways because you feel inadequate at it, which I know for a couple of my friends that was it. Like it's that they were not getting a result that they felt good enough, so they're not having fun, which like I totally understand. Like I don't like sucking at stuff, right? Like I tried to play, I learned piano when I was like a early teen, I guess, and I kind of enjoyed it a little bit, but like I played piano just enough to know that I was not good at piano. And then a couple of years later, a friend like gave me a guitar, and I tried it. It was atrocious. I was like, everything is terrible. I hate it. Like I would like to like it, but it's not happening. And a lot of people feel that for miniature painting. That's just because they haven't found kind of like a proper way or something to make them enjoy it. This is in part due to how it's like thought, and this is something I think I do differently. I'm not claiming I'm the best at it, but I think something my channel, my approach to miniature painting is kind of different. Maybe because I see this art through the non-artistic like lens, but I try to have like a very clear goal in mind, and also focus on maybe you don't like painting, because that's I found this in like in life like pretty early on. And when I went to college for a very brief time, I wasn't there that often, but I went there, and I had graphics design class, and in one of those classes was like an art class, and I had a teacher that was like an insane artist. She was like a painter, and I think she did everything, but and she was like in she had like an exposition. She was like in an art gallery, and I went to see her stuff back then. She was amazing. She was such a shitty. It was the worst teacher I've ever had, because she was like a true artist, but she could not explain anything in a way that made sense to somebody that is not art. And it was something about like art modern or postmodern art or something, and I was like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing. So like, well, not that. I'm like, okay, but what or why? So like, because that's not what it is. I'm like, and I at no point could I get like a proper like answer, because for that teacher it made so much sense, and it was like, well, obviously, but I could never get it. And that experience kind of shit, because it's not like she doesn't know what she's talking about. Like she was, I'm telling you, amazing, like amazing stuff that she would, but like completely useless for me as a teacher. And it's funny because the second class was taught by a different professor. It was like two, and I was talking to the other professor because she was my teacher in another like subject, and she was like, "Oh yeah, but it's this, and she like the same subject. She explained it to me in like 30 seconds. I was like, oh. And and I got this, and this kind of kept with me, and this is why I think a lot of people, when it comes to miniature painting, they struggle, is because, and it makes a whole lot of sense, is a lot of the YouTube videos are made by people that love painting, and they explain it to somebody that they think loves painting, or I love doing this, so you should love doing this, right? Because it makes sense. But and so sometimes, like when you think about the resources that are like I'm not gonna name any names again, because I don't think their channel are bad, but just it's a thought experiment, right? One of my buddy wanted to paint Sisters of Battle at one point. Not really artistic, not really good at painting, does not really enjoy painting really. And he says, I want to do this tutorial, and the tutorial is like how to do a Sisters of Battle army or speed paint, and it takes 2 hours to do a basic sister. I'm like, well, let me try to show you a different way. And so I put out a video about a sister is a different way, and mine is a 30-minute thing. But the same guy is for him it's completely the original video, like the paint like Space Wolves quickly, is somebody that loves painting. Like I paint Space Marines for 2 hours. I can I paint all day. I love miniature painting. But if you don't, 2 hours is not like a fun result or anything. Like you need to love what you have, versus you just need to feel competent at what you're doing, or you just want to, like for a lot of people, it's like getting their armies done in like a manageable, fashion. And until you kind of get into that rhythm, or that mindset of like, there's a result that you desire, like, to feel good, I need to feel something, or I need to do something very specific. It's really hard for somebody that's not artistic to kind of get into that groove. So, again, using that my one friend example with the sisters, he kind of had like this click afterwards of like, oh, it's possible to do this in like less than 2 hours. Oh, I don't need to do all of this, all this complex stuff. And some of my other friends that are like more into the tournament scene, they get amazed by sometimes the simplest stuff of like, this little paste is like, well, you don't need to mix anything with your base. You just do this and you dry brush it, and it's like very, very quick. I was like, oh, I can dry brush it. I'm like, you can even buy a lighter one and shade it if you want. It's 2 colors and you're gonna get something simple. Or my buddy Francois, I talk about him sometimes when I paint stuff for him, but he paints a whole lot of his own minis. He discovered streaking grime, which is like essentially a brown shade that you put onto your entire mini. Like he invented dipping without dipping with streaking grime, and I think he told me about streaking grime for like 3 weeks. Every time I would talk to him, he would tell me about streaking grime. and he would send me pictures of it, because that was like kind of his moment was like, this makes me feel like I'm accomplishing, like something good. Like, this is the best model I've painted in years, and it's just because it's shaded brown. So honestly, I don't think there's like a whole lot of a moral out there. I just want to put it out there that this is something that exists, and you might realize that this applies to you. And I kind of hope you do, actually, because I think this is a big barrier that gets breaking to paint minis, and to paint minis well. You don't need to enjoy it. You just need to find a way to enjoy, what it is that you're doing. One new little, well, new everything. This is episode 1. Everything is new. I'm making this up as I go. But one other segment that I would like to talk to you about is the miniature of the week, or something like that, name pending, right? Which in the perfect world would be your miniatures, you viewers, that whatever you did recently or something you're proud of, or if you're Francois, just send me your latest streak and grime thing. Yeah, I'd like to showcase miniatures, from the viewers and the listeners, because you guys paint great stuff, and I don't need to talk about my own stuff all the time. But since this is episode 1, I'll just show you a couple of these guys, and these are a couple of the minis that we painted for the stream recently. We painted all those on YouTube. On Thursdays we do streams. This is such a shameless promotion, guys. But a couple of minis that I've painted recently, I just want to show you guys. So yeah, enjoy the miniatures from episode 1, and then I'll put a link in the description or the show notes where you can go to send me pictures of your own models if you would like them to be featured on the show. And also, please write down if you'd like them to be kind of just appreciated or also critiqued, because we can do both, and we can bask into the, hey, congratulations, you did this, or we can also go, hey, you did this. If you want to take this to the next level, there's this and that you can do. Both things, both are good approaches, and I don't mind doing either of these things. I think it's a fun little segment, and if it helps you along the way, more power to us. And on that note, I think this will end episode 1. Just a quick one. Chitted my little chat, and got this thing on the way. So again, probably every 2 weeks we're gonna have a little episode of Hobby Night in Canada. And I'm taking suggestions. So if you have like stuff that you would like, a little, like, again, segments that you would like to see in the episodes, drop them below. We'll see. We'll see what happens. In the next episode, we are going to talk about miniature photography, because I can't say the word correctly, so it's going to be a fun episode, but also I got stuff to talk about. So until then, no excuses. I'll be like champions.